Proper aqeedah, Quran and Sunnah, Quran and Sunnah, Minhaj and aqeedah. Actions speak louder than words, than words.
Sunnah following kids, come with me.
Gotta work hard to get to heaven. Treat the people good like the prophet would. Proper aqeedah, Quran and Sunnah, Quran and Sunnah, Minhaj and aqeedah. Actions speak louder than words, than words.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I'd like to welcome everybody to our Sunnah Followers Kids program. Alhamdulillah. And tonight we're going to be speaking about something that's very important, not only just for the children, but for all the Muslims listening. And that is self-defense. What does Islam say, or what does Islam teach about self-defense? Because we're living in a world, where there's a lot of violence in it. There's violence on television. There's violence in the schools. There's violence in the grocery stores. There's violence on the news every day. So it will make a person wonder, well, what if you find yourself in a situation where you might have to defend yourself, or say someone is bullying you? We're living in the days of bullying. We're living in the days in which we're being bullied. So that's what we're going to be speaking about today, alhamdulillah. We're going to be speaking about what Islam teaches us. What does Islam teach us about defending ourselves? And also, even more important than that, when should we, or how should we defend ourselves? Should we defend ourselves verbally? Should we defend ourselves physically, or should we go to the authorities in charge? That's what we're going to be speaking about. So let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen for tonight's discussion. And also, for those of you who are new shahadas, or those of you who are new to my classes, new to my learning, this is the book that we're using. The book is entitled Dunya. This is a book written by my student, Brother Abdullah Kirk. Brother Daryl Abdullah Kirk is one of my students. He's been with me ever since he converted to Islam. And he's written several books. And this is the one that we're using for this class. You can purchase this book on Amazon. And this is not a children's book. This is an adult book. But we are using it in this class because the children can relate to it too, even though they can't read it. Some of them, because some of them can't read, but they can still relate to the topics in the book. And it's great for you new shahadas, because it's really a watered down version of knowing your Lord, of the book written by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd, Get to Know Your Lord. So please, guys, the book is only $13. Go to Amazon.com and pick it up tonight, inshallah. And tonight we're going to be covering chapter 19, which speaks about self-defense in Islam, protecting yourself in Islam. Let's make the screen a little bit larger. And let's get started. Okay. Now, first of all, Islam recognizes the right of self-defense and protection. Allah lets us know that as human beings, as Muslims, we have the right to defend ourselves. We have the right to protect ourselves and our families. That's why when your parents got married, when a woman gets married, one of the things, the first thing that she looks for in a man is he able to provide and protect her? Because that's the job, the role of the man in Islam, to provide, maintain, and protect his family. And as a Muslim woman, it's your job to protect your children. your children from outside influences, inside bad influences, and all of that. So Islam propagates defense, self-defense, and even living in society. There is no society that opposes the right of self-defense. There's no type of government, Muslim or non-Muslim, that would not defend the honor, the dignity, the integrity of its citizens. Even our Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the battles that our Prophet Muhammad fought were to protect the Muslims and were to uphold the belief of Allah. And all of his wars were honorable and aimed not to be a bully, not to be an aggressor, but to defend the people's right to practice their religion and establish their own community. So, and there's rules and laws when it comes to protecting yourself, when it comes to guarding your life, guarding your family. Allah sets certain rules and guidelines in effect. For example, Allah tells us in the interpretation of the meaning, permission to fight has been given to those who are being fought. Look at that. We just don't go and wage war or just beat up somebody. Allah gives us permission to fight if people are physically fighting us. That's the ability to defend ourselves. Also, Allah says, and indeed Allah is competent to give you victory. In other words, he's telling us, if you fight to defend yourself against somebody that's trying to harm you, Allah is the one that can give you victory. And then Allah defines who are the people that fall in the category of being able to fight. He said those who have been evicted from their homes without right. Those who have been kicked out of their homes, kicked out of their countries, out of their cities, out of their schools, simply because they say that they believe in Allah. So as you can see, this verse of the Quran signifies that we as Muslims, we do have the right to defend ourselves if we are being wronged. And these are examples from our prophet, the Battle of Badr, the Battle of Uhud. This was fought so that the Muslims would be able to practice their religion freely. But also, we have to understand that we are living in the West. We're living in America. America is not a Muslim country. America does not operate off of the laws of the law. So how do we handle ourselves? How do we defend ourselves here? Well, Allah also tells us this. Allah says, "Oh, you who believe, obey Allah and obey the Prophet and obey those in authority amongst you." Here Allah is telling us, you obey him first and foremost, and then you obey the Prophet, and you obey those in authority. America is not a Muslim country. America is not subject to the laws of Islam. As the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in an authentic hadith, our laws are for us. Their laws are for them. But we respect the people of authority. Living in America, even though the non-Muslims are in authority over us, we still respect their laws. And as Allah goes on to say, if you disagree about something, refer it to Allah and the Prophet if you truly believe. Okay, so as we can see, living in America or Europe or United Kingdom, Australia, any Western country, any country that is not Islamic, we still are obligated as Muslims to respect the laws of the land. So for example, in Islam, we don't support LGBTQ. We already know that. We don't believe in that same sex gender stuff. That's one of the sins that bring capital punishment. in an Islamic country, but this is not an Islamic country. It's legal to be LGBTQ here. It's legal. So we respect that law. That means that we don't go around bullying people because they're LGBTQ. We don't go around harming people, attacking people just because they choose to be LGBTQ. Instead, we distance ourselves from them. In other words, we don't deal with them unless necessary. If we have to work with them, we do our jobs with them, and then we go home. We don't get close to them. If you're in school with people who are LGBTQ, you know, if you have to do an assignment in a group with them, you know, you do the assignment and then you go home. You don't get personal. You don't get close with them. It's all business. So this verse of the Quran emphasizes the importance, first and foremost, of obeying Allah and his laws, but also obeying the people of authority within the environment that you live into. Okay? But again, we have to emphasize that as long as what their laws are do not contradict the laws of Allah. And I just gave an example. Here in America, everybody has the right to be whatever they want to be. Even in America, you have the right to walk out the house with no clothes on. That's their laws. Do we go around beating up people because they walking around with no clothes on? No, that's their right. So what do? We distance ourselves. We do el-bara. We stay away from it. That's why your parents try to move into an environment, a community, a city where there's people of a certain class, a certain lifestyle. That lifestyle that least contradicts ours. That's why your parents are not going to move you into the projects. Your parents are not going to move you into an environment where people are selling drugs, where people are drinking alcohol, where people are cursing and doing all kinds of crimes, because you end up becoming a product of that environment. So your parents will move out to an environment where the least of people, whatever they do behind closed doors. They ain't doing it in the public. So again, we obey the laws of the land, but we don't lose our Muslim identity in the process. We know that LGBTQ is bad and dirty, so we don't get close to it. We know that drugs and alcohol is bad and dirty, even though they're legal for them, we don't get close to it. So if there's a conflict between the instructions of the people of authority and our Muslim identity, then we are obligated to prioritize Allah's laws over the laws of the land. Okay? Everybody understand that? Because in our way of life, Islam, it recognizes the right of all people to protect themselves. It recognizes the right of all people to live in peace and harmony. But again, our laws are over theirs for us. So even though the girls at your school can walk around without a hijab on, they can wear hot pants, that's their business. You're still going to maintain your identity and wear a kimar and a abaya. Even though the boys in your school got girlfriends and smoke weed and drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes, that's their right. But you're going to distance yourself from that and maintain your Muslim integrity, your Muslim identity. So now, what do you do if people are teasing you? If people are mocking you? If people are bullying you because you're not doing the drugs, because you're not smoking the cigarettes, because you don't have boyfriends and girlfriends, because you're not LGBTQ? Well, listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. Fight in the way of Allah those who fight you, but do not transgress, because Allah does not like those who transgress. This verse of the Quran, Allah is telling us that we are entitled to defend ourselves, okay, when we are the target of aggression, when we are the target of an attack. But at the same time, Allah is telling us to not go too far, to not cross the line while defending yourself against a person that's attacking you. So what would be an example of that? Okay, I'm in school and I'm sitting in the lab minding my business, and somebody walks in and calls me, makes fun of me because I have a kimar on. They call me gay because I don't have boyfriends. What do? Do I jump up and attack that person physically? No. I'm going to ignore that person, and then I'm going to get up, walk out of the room, and go to the principal's office. And I'm going to say, Principal, I am minding my business, but these students continue to harass me. And I'm going to give the names of the students. I don't fear nobody but Allah. Definitely don't fear no kafir. And I'm going to tell the principal, Jane, Tommy, Dick, and Harry. They keep harassing me. They keep bullying me. And I want it to stop. And then when I go home, I'm going to tell my mother, I'm going to tell my father, I am being harassed in school by Tom, Dick, Jane, and Harry because I'm a Muslim. So that's the way I'm going to handle a situation like that without crossing the transgressing the limits. They didn't hit me. They hit me with their tongue, but not with their hands. So I'm not going to jump up and go crazy and start beating people up with my fists. No, I'm going to go and report them to the people of authority, the principal, and then my parents. And I'm going to give their names so that the parents and the principal can deal with them. But now let's say I'm sitting in the lab minding my business, and Tom, Dick, Jane, and Harry come in and they pull off my hijab, or they smack me in the head, or they trip me when I fall. Now that's something different. You don't put your hands on me. You put your hands on me, I have a right to defend myself. I'm going to push you back. I'm going to knock you down. Okay, then I'm going to go and report you to the teacher, to the principal. Okay, so that's what Allah is saying. Don't be the transgressor. Don't be the one to make the first move. If they hit you physically, if they come at you, unless they hit you first, don't make the first move. When they hit you, then you have a right to hit them back. And I hope that is clear. Listen to what Allah says and the interpretation of the meaning. And if you punish an enemy, punish with an equivalent of what you were harmed with. But patience is better. So Allah is saying just what I'm saying here. They didn't put their hands on you when they were calling you gay and calling you crazy because you dressed differently. So why would I hit them? They didn't hit me. They just using a bunch of stupid words. So instead, I'm going to go and report them to the principal and to my parents. Okay. But hitting me, that's different. They've transgressed the limits, and I have a right to defend myself. So, very important verses of the Quran for all Muslims to understand. It is discouraged in Islam for us to resort to excessive force or excessive retaliation. Okay? You don't want to be the oppressor. Ponder this. Allah says, whoever harms or kills a person unjustly, it is as though he has killed all mankind. Whoever saves a life, it is though he has saved all mankind. Kids today are crazy. You bully a kid, a lot of kids go home and get a gun and they come to school and shoot you. Oh yeah. This is crazy. Just because somebody bullied you with their tongue, does that justify you taking their life that way? This is a big sin in Islam. You had no reason to take that person's life. And that's why we have to be careful that we don't transgress the limits, because that we control our anger, because anger can lead to something bad like this happening. And I'm sorry ain't going to get it, because I'm sorry is not going to bring a person back to life. We have to remember that the human soul is sacred, whether it's Muslim or non-Muslim. You don't take a person's life unjustly. That's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when you see something bad, you should try to change it physically. But if you can't physically, then with your tongue and then with your heart. Now, what does this mean? The only time I'm going to get physical is if I see something bad about to happen to another Muslim. Let's say you're at school and there's a water on the floor, and you see another kid walking and they don't see the water, and they slip, or right before they slip, you run and grab them and move them out the way of the water. This is okay. You can do that. You can touch the person and move the person out the way from harm. But can you push the person into the water because it's a kid that you don't like in school? Can you take that kid and just push him into the water and make him fall? No. So again, Islam teaches balance. Yes, we have the right to defend ourselves, but it has to be for just cause. So as Muslims, it's essential for us to recognize the difference between defending ourselves physically and just going to the people of authority asking for help. Okay? And it's real easy. If they put their hands on you to harm you, then you have the right to get physical back with them. But if they're just verbally harming you, you appeal to the people of authority. And also, it's important for all Muslims to know self-defense. I ain't talking about the gun. That's for the parents. Every Muslim kid listening to me should learn martial arts. You should learn some type of martial arts, be it taekwondo, be it karate, kung fu, whatever. I learned kung fu when I was growing up. My daughter, she's a black belt in taekwondo. My grandkids, Jayla and them, they're bad kids, but they all got their green and orange belts in taekwondo. Jayla's a red belt. Okay? So it's important for you as kids to have your parents put you in karate or taekwondo classes. So in case somebody does hit you or try to attack you physically, you do know how to defend yourself. And when you're taking those classes, they will teach you that you only resort to that if a person puts their hands on you. If they don't put their hands on you, then you report the people to the proper authorities. And I hope this is clear. So now, here's the question. I'm going to have all of you answer this question for tonight. The question is, I want each and every one of you to give an example. As to when it becomes okay to defend yourself physically. Brother Corday, you can start us off.
It is okay to physically use force on somebody. If to protect yourself is like if they hit you, you can hit them back or something like that.
Exactly. If they hit you, say somebody just come up to you and hit you, that's justification to hit them back. Good job. Sister Asma Najma, give us another example of when you are justified in using physical force.
Like when some kids act mean to you and said to you, like walk away, they pull off your hijab.
Exactly. If you walk away and somebody pull off your hijab, that's physical. You can get physical then because they touched you. Exactly. Sister Anaya, what's another example as to when you're justified in using physical force to defend yourself?
Like when somebody hits you, you have to defend yourself.
Exactly. They hit you. Okay, one of the kids here said they throw a, what is this? They throw a cahier. Cahier is notebook. They throw their notebook at you. He said, I can throw my notebook back. Okay, they hit you, so you hit them back. Okay, Sister Amalia, go ahead. What's another example as to when you can use physical force to protect yourself?
Like when they're like pushing you or like
Yes.
Or like hitting you or something. And
Pushing you.
Fight back.
Exactly. He pushed you down. And so you got the right to defend yourself. He pushed you down. How you know he ain't gonna jump on top of you and try to molest you? Hey, that happens every day, especially in schools. You have a right to he pushed you down, you're gonna grab his feet and knock him down. Hello. Good job, dear Monty. What's another example from you as to when you are justified in using physical force?
Like if someone kicks me or hits me, then I have a right to kick them back or hit them back.
Yep, they kick you. Exactly. Somebody gonna kick you? Exactly. Now give me an example as to when you will report it to the authorities. When you will report it to the proper authorities. Who can give me an example of that? Give me an example of something that doesn't justify hitting, but reporting to the proper authorities. Go ahead, Asma Najma.
When they bully you or tease you.
Teasing you.
But
Good
they don't
job.
put your hands on you.
Good job, teasing you. Okay, Israel's kids. Can somebody, one of the moderators, unmute them? Israel's kids, what's an example as to when you just report them? You don't hit them, but you report them to the authority. Give me an example.
If someone slaps you.
Okay, if somebody slap you, what you gonna do?
Slap them back.
Oh, you're gonna slap them back. That's right. Your brother got an example?
Yeah, when someone punches you, you can punch them back.
Exactly. Brother Adam, let's hear from Adam. Give me an example as to when you can report the person to the people of authority, Adam. Don't hit them, but report them.
When someone trips you, you can report it to the principal.
Okay, you can. Let me tell you something. If somebody trip you and you feel like he's a big person, he too big to fight. Yeah, you can crawl away, I guess, and go and just report him if you can't fight him. Sometimes you might find yourself in a situation where you can't fight because the person is just too big. So you might can crawl away. Okay, Tahir, let's hear from you.
If somebody steals from you.
Okay, what you gonna do if somebody steals from you?
You like report it.
Good job. That's an example of reporting. Let's say, for example, you realize that somebody stole your pencil and you know who stole it because she's sitting there writing with it. Do you go over there and slap her? No. You go and report it to the teacher. Ivana took my picture. Took my pencil. Ivana stole my pencil from me. You're not going to go slap her and take the pencil from her. Good job, Geechee's kids. What's an example when you go and report it? When you don't get physical? Go ahead, Geechee's kids.
When I was playing with my friends, we were playing basketball, and the oldest, which his name was Carter, he started punching me in my mouth, and I got sick and tired of him, so I got my hand and punched him in his mouth 15 times, and he kept on punching me back, so I kept on getting him in fighting.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, you defended yourself. Did you tell your parents afterwards?
No,
That's
no.
right. That's good. And that's what I want you kids to understand too. You have a right to defend yourself if they hit you, and you hit them back. And if you make it out of there, you make sure you tell your parents that so-and-so hit you, you hit them back, and let your parents take care of it. Okay, always let your parents know what's going on with you in your life, because remember, as I started off the talk, it's the parents' responsibility, your father and mother's responsibility to protect you, to make sure nobody is harming you. And they can't protect you if they don't know what's going on with you. So always don't ever be too ashamed or too afraid to share with your mom and dad what other people are doing to you, be it bad or good. You let them know so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that, and I did this, and I did that. Always communicate with your parents. Okay, so mashallah, you guys answered that question pretty good. And so before we end for tonight, I got a hadith here that many adults don't understand the meaning of. You know, the adults don't understand much of anything, unfortunately, the days that we're living in. But I want y'all to ponder this hadith here. We have this authentic hadith, whereas one of the companions tells us that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there should be no harming nor reciprocating harm. In other words, you shouldn't go around harming people, nor should you reciprocate harm. There's a lot of Muslims that don't understand what this means. They think that means that if a person spits on you or a person slaps you, you can't slap them back. You can't spit on them back. No, that's not what this hadith is talking about. First of all, the Prophet Muhammad is telling us that we can't be instigators. We shouldn't go around oppressing other people, be they Muslim or non-Muslim, unnecessarily. We're not oppressors. We don't go around teasing people, mocking people, intentionally harming people, intentionally hurting people. And when he says, nor should we reciprocate, he's talking about you don't be the aggressor. If a person calls you a name, you don't punch him. If a person calls him a name, you report him to the authority, because calling me a bad name doesn't merit me or justify me punching you physically. So a lot of people don't understand this hadith who are adults. As Muslims, we are not Christians. We don't turn the other cheek. Nowhere does Allah say that if a person slaps you, you turn your cheek and let them slap you again. You slap you again. We don't do that. We believe in qisas as Muslims, which is an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But that belief doesn't mean that we are the aggressor. Nor does that belief mean that I'm going to inflict a punishment upon you in retaliation that's more severe than what you did to me. You slap me, I'm not going to kill you. I'll slap you back, but I ain't going to take out a gun and shoot you. Okay? You kicked me. I'm going to kick you back. I am not going to pick up a chair and smash your head in because you kicked me. Okay? You guys understand? So as Muslims, again, we are people who are peaceful. We don't bother you. As long as you don't put your hands on us, we'll ignore you. Allah teaches us as Muslims to turn away from ignorant people. So we distance ourselves from ignorant people and we turn away from them. We'll report you if you talk about us, but we're not going to attack you for that. But if you put your hands on us, hey, one of the martyrs, a person that dies protecting himself, that's a martyr in Islam. Okay? All right, so I hope this is clear. You know, Islam is all about, you know, protecting each other, defending yourselves. As children, I hope all of you are taking martial arts classes, especially the girls, because every girl needs to know how to defend herself, because the world is a cruel place. You never know. You grow up, you might marry a man, and he might be psychotic. He might try to hurt you. You have a right to be able to defend yourself so he can't hurt you. Okay? All right. Are there any questions about today's class, today's lecture? No questions. I want to remind all of you that tonight at 6:30, be here for my 6:30 class, because I'm going to speak about the correct belief system. And then for the parents at 9:30 tonight, I have the Sacred Bonds of Marriage class too. So I want to thank everybody for joining and participating. Tell your parents to support this dawah effort, because we are desperately, desperately, desperately in need of donations. If you guys want me to come on here and stream, boy, the streaming fees have went up. Please support us. All right, I'm going to log out for now, inshallah. And for the parents, don't forget, we have Sister Wania with our fit exercise class. That's today at 4 too, which is in the next 45 minutes. So subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Assalamualaikum. Bye.
Alaikum salam.